So keeping those shows fresh. Now we got the rapport, which I think is you're talking about that. Great advice. But keeping that show fresh, because you're seeing some of those kids, what, 4 times a year?
Yeah, several times. I mean, depending on the school, it can be even more than that.
Wow.
Because these students are going to other schools and they'll come up and it's like, oh, you DJ at my prom last week. So.
Oh wow, that was really.
Well, I actually had a gentleman that asked me why on my videos I tell my DJs to submit their playlist every single night. And my guys do not get paid until I see that playlist. That's part of their job. And the reason is because I want to make sure they're not doing the same thing again and again and again.
Sure.
I tell my guys, you're not performance DJs where you're presetting everything. I don't want to see that. If I look through the computer and I see a crate that says stuff I'm playing at homecoming, no, you're done. I don't want that. I want the shows to be buzzed, to be mixed completely live, where, yes, they can pull some of the hot tracks ahead of time, but I don't want to see that repetitive set again and again and again and again.
Right.
There's a few sets that, are your power sets, and you are going to do multiple times, and that's perfectly fine. But once you get a student come up, it's like, wait a second, you played that last time. And I remember, it really got me, because there's a power set that I used to do, and then I did it twice in a row, and I heard a student's like, oh, watch, she's going to mix into this. I'm like, dude, how the hell did you know? Oh, you did that last time. Like, so that kind of was like a little bit of a wake up call. Okay, these students are understanding and they're watching us more than ever because they want to know, is this guy really mixing? So that really helps kind of keep the show fresh because it's forcing you to, because you're not playing the same tracks again and again. Same thing with the hyping and all of that. But as far as the music, no, you shouldn't be sitting there pre-planning your playlist ahead of time. That's stupid. That's what the DJs that are losing business to me are doing. I'm not expecting everybody to have a photographic memory of what's in, in every single one of the years of songs or whatnot. Like if you ask me to go to a school right now with a whole different demographic, I know right now I can pull a set without zero preparation, but that's just how I personally do things.
Right.
I know some guys have to prepare somewhat, but when you're sitting there preparing every single song, even if you're saying, well, I don't prepare the order, I just pull out all the tracks I'm going to play that night, no. Because you don't know that crowd. You don't know what they're going to vibe to. You know how years and years ago, I actually had, I can't remember who it was that called me, but another DJ called me the crunk specialist. So I kept on like, hey, that's kind of clever. Because I did a lot of, trap before it was called trap. I did a lot of hip hop, did a lot of club. And I didn't do too much of the top 40 throwback type stuff. And I had a student ask me for Barbie Girl. I'm like, I don't know how well it's going to work. Then another student asked for it. And then Kelly, Kelly, we were actually just talking back and forth. We were texting, and I'm like, yeah, somebody keeps asking me Barbie Girl. He goes, oh, dude, I played that last week, and that went over well. I'm like, okay, why not? I'll give it a shot. So we played that, and, the whole place went crazy. So for a few years, that was like one of my go-to songs. Like, I'm definitely knocking out Barbie Girl. And it's crazy because these kids weren't even conceived when that song came out, and they remember that. They can't even remember, like Pythagorean theorem, but they remember, you can touch, you can play. So, but that being said, if I had sat there and pre-planned all my tracks that I was going to play, that would have never happened.
Yeah, for sure.
It forces you to think. I'm not. But please don't wait till the very last second to pull up a track. Sometimes you may pull 2 or 3 tracks while you're in the middle of the set, but that's because you're feeling something. The way I see it is, if when you're listening to a song, just so you're in the car, you're driving, when you're listening to a song, if you're not hearing 2 or 3 songs that would go excellent with it, you really should, because otherwise you're not ready for that kind of improv mixing. And that kind of improv mixing is really what puts you on having fresh shows every single time.
Improv mixing, I like that term.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's cool.